Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of Geopath Out of Home Office Hours. I'm Scott Piachetti, and I'm here with Brian Schopper.
Good morning.
Here.
Or afternoon.
Afternoon. So, sorry about that. But before we get started, I do want to apologize. I think there was some level of confusion with the registration and the timing, and I appreciate everybody joining today. And again, like I said, I apologize on there was confusion on the start time of this webinar. That said, we'll probably keep the line open and stay on until 2 o'clock in case anybody didn't get our email, and run it again. So if you want to stay on and hear it twice, you can. So anyhow, but first of all, I just like I said, I do want to say thank you to everybody. And just similar to last time, I know we did these in May, but what we want to do is, I know not everybody on this call probably saw the May one, so I want to do a quick overview of the Insights key features, the Insight Suite's key features, and talk about some of the updates, and then we'll do a walkthrough. And again, I'll do an overall walkthrough so you can see just largely kind of the layout and some of the high-level features, and then show you some of the key updates. And then also I want to always make sure we talk about how to get support or provide feedback to us on the tool. And again, just to reiterate this, and again, if you were on the call, the webinar sessions last time, I did talk about this, but we are really excited, and we do feel this is a tool that we're building for the industry, but that it's being helped built by the industry. And what I mean by that is we have had a group of Geopath Finder beta testers that were early on helping us really figure out that key feature set and what the user experience looks like and what some of the key features and functionality set is. And we still have that group. And now that group's expanded to actually everybody, all of our members. And I want to make sure, and it's actually in the last bullet, please, as you explore the tool on your own, give us feedback. And again, I'll show you how to do that before the end of this webinar. But the other key point is that we are in an agile release schedule. And what that means is that every couple of weeks, you're going to be seeing new features and functionality coming out. And at the end of each month, I'm going to, along with Brian, we'll be doing some of these update sessions and showing you what's new and what's been updated. Also, I always want to make sure I say that the impression data that you're seeing in the tools now is for non-commercial use during the beta phase. So this is, at this point, for testing purposes. It's to really explore and just kind of check against what the ADS. So the ADS impression data, in our tools, or what you get from Kelmar, et cetera, or other sources, are the currency of the industry at this point until we move over to the Geopath Insight Suite. Just a quick overview of the measurement partners, the partners we have for our measurement. One of the key things, and one of the key things you'll see in the tool today, is some of the population data, and that's being brought in through our partnership with Claritas, as well as obviously U.S. Census-based data. That's one of the key things here that I wanted to talk about. You've probably seen this slide before, some of the version of this slide. But as we go through and as we start to look at the tool, you're going to see a few things. So much more visual than some of our current tools, with a very interactive map search ability, so you can zoom into cities or even specific street level. And you'll see across the top various filters, so you can filter by, if you're looking, almost like you can choose your own adventure. So if you want to look at media type or by operator, be able to copy and paste in your Geopath ID or your plan ID. But also what I mean by choose your own adventure is audience first. If that's how you want to come in and start to explore by audience, you can. And this is one of the key things that we heard from our members as we were developing the tool. We want, and obviously, it's no longer just about a piece of inventory in the ground. It's about understanding audience. And through this tool, you're going to be able to do that. And at this point, there's a handful of population attributes in the tool. You'll see, if you were on this call last time, you'll see that some of the vessel, so to speak, of how we show that to you is much improved, and that was so that we can now start to add more and more populations, which will be coming in, I believe, in the next release on July 10th. And then, again, the ability to look at every location that we have audited, map with detailed information on inventory attributes, being able to filter by total impressions, by composition, by reach frequency, etc. And you'll see that once we get into the tool. And there's some screenshots, obviously, here to the left. But I want to talk about some of the new features that you're going to see. I do want to pause also as well and just remind you that if you do have any questions, always please feel free to ask them through using the question widget in the GoToWebinar, the GoToWebinar interface. That's the word I'm looking for. So new features in this release. So again, as I was just teeing up, you'll see that the way we present the audiences is much improved. And again, this is in preparation for us being able to add in and populate all of these tabs with many more population attributes. And again, our partnership with Claritas allows us to have about 10,000 plus different attributes, including the 67 different prism segmentations that they have as part of their tool. So we're really excited about new audiences finally being able to come out. I know we've been promising that for a while. And the other thing that, and I'll show you, I'll do a specific walkthrough on how to do this. Right now you can add and build and save and even name custom inventory sets. So if you get a set of inventory from a media company, or if you're looking, if you get a request, an RFP request from an agency, you're able to put that set into the tool, into the Insight Suite, and save that and work with that as a custom inventory set. So I'll show you how you can do that and actually go in and manipulate that set, that being, take out and add to it as you need to and rename it. So that's one thing we're excited, and again, that's getting us towards this ability to create campaigns and actually kind of use the tool to conduct business. A couple usability enhancements that you'll see, just user interface type of things that make the experience overall just much nicer. On the left side, you'll see that we've started to kind of nest the types of the media types as well. On the right side now, you will start to see the top zip codes and top market areas showing up when you click into a piece of inventory. So you can see where that inventory is drawing audience from, which may not always be where it's located, which again is the story that we feel like is something we've always been wanting to tell, and now we're able to tell this story with the data in the tool. And then also the tabular view of the information that allows you to sort and select inventory. So if you're trying to, select a combination of inventory, if your client's requirements so that they want some that have a lot of impressions and some that really have a lot of target impressions and some that have a lot of reach, you'll be able to start to do that with this feature, and I'll show you how to use that as well. Just want to pause a second before we jump into the tool to see if there's any questions. Any questions, Brian?
Nope, not yet.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So I'm going to jump out of the deck and go into the tool. Okay, sorry about the screen there. Okay. All right. So when you log in, and again, you can log in by using your unified credentials, so password and your email and password that you would set up through us. You can use that to log into any tools, but specifically the Geopath Insight Suite. So at this high level is what you're seeing, the map of the U.S. with all the inventory that we have audited across the country. You see on the top here, you can look at total population, and again, just a quick view. You've seen a screenshot of this already, but you're seeing total population. Right now, you can do 18 plus or 5 plus. The default is 5 plus, just to let you know. And again, as I mentioned, there's a handful of attributes and demographics of different population metrics. So again, this will, as more and more attributes are added, more of these tabs will come online. And then you can select your market. Again, this is the DMA level market. Here's what I mentioned about the total inventory media types, so you can see and start to select those by just clicking them on and off. And then all the operators that we have in our system, along with the inventory that they have. And then you can select location by map view and draw, and also a new feature since the last time, I believe, is the ability to enter a zip code. And again, I'll show you all of these in a moment. And then here's where the More tab is where you would add any Geopath panel IDs you might have if you want to look at a specific group of them, or plan IDs as well. And again, this is where you also find your saved inventory sets, which we will do in a moment. Just a note on when you're entering panel IDs or plant unit IDs, you can copy and paste these from an Excel file, from a Word document, from an email, and the tool is smart enough to recognize that and ingest those in any format that you can copy and paste them in. Much, much easier than in ADS. So on the right side, what you're seeing is a basic list of, so right now at this level, we haven't filtered anything. We're just looking at total impressions 5+. So 49 billion target impressions, which is the same as the 49 billion persons 5+ impressions, again, because we haven't filtered. So our target impression composition is 100%. So a couple of things I like to do at this level that I think is really interesting just to show you. One thing you can do is just, if you're looking and want to understand where a provider or a media company has inventory, you can just click at this high level and you can start, oops, sorry to zoom in so much, but you can start to see where they have a lot of inventory. And you could do that for anyone, click it off. Let's see, a couple, take that one. Oh, you gotta clear it, sorry, clear it. And then I'll pick health and outdoor. So you can start to see where they're concentrated, where their inventory is. I'm going to clear that out, and then start to select a market. I'm going to select Portland, Oregon today. I was there a couple months ago. Let's go back there. So just over 2,000, just under 3,000 pieces of inventory here, and you can see how the right side has changed, right? So of all the inventory, the 2,706 selected, there's 317 million impressions for 5+. And then we would start to look at the population when we start to add different targets. So one thing I want to do, let me clear that for 1 second. Right. Another thing that I always think is a fun thing to do, an interesting thing to do if you're starting to target an audience, is to look at it at the national level first. So let's, because it's Portland and there were so many coffee shops there, I want to go with Starbucks. I know that's a pretty common one, or one that we often talk about, but I think it's kind of fun and relevant for just picking Portland, because I know it's a heavy coffee drinking market. So, so you can see here, so I'm just clearing everything out. So when I pick Starbucks at the national level, I'm seeing 6.5 billion impressions. So with a target impression composition of 14%. So now I have that in my head, and I know when I start to look at a high-level market, I can see, does this market over-index or under-index for that particular audience? So at a high level, I'm just looking at Portland, well, yeah, it over-indexes a little bit. So it might be a good market if I'm in that stage where I'm trying to find where I want, if it's a national campaign and it's not really specific yet, you can start to use it for that. So let's zoom in a little bit here. I'm going to start to zoom in a little slowly so you can start to see it come into focus. And again, if you haven't been in the tool yet, so you see that all the inventory is color-coded, right? But you might not know what they are at this point. So there's a key over here in the upper left. So see, walls are purple, bulletins are that orangey red, posters are yellow, and the furniture, street furniture, is turquoise. And so as we start to zoom in, I want to show you a couple other features. So here on the right, we're starting to show all the 2,000 706 pieces of inventory, and it's still sorted by target composition. I want to look at total impressions at this point, so you can just easily reformat. And as you scroll through, you can start to see, I'm scrolling on the right side, but if you notice there's a star on the left side showing up just to give you a sense of where that inventory is. So now everything's all selected. But you might want to pick just the top 25 or top 50, or eventually your own custom set, so you can do that as well. And there's a variety, as I mentioned when we were looking at the deck, there are a variety of different types of filters. So total impressions, target impressions, in-market total impressions, in-market, I'm not going to necessarily, I'm not going to read all of them, but I just wanted to make sure everyone's aware that you can sort by a variety of things. And again, once reach and frequency are in the tool, which again are coming in the coming weeks, so hopefully by the next time we have one of these sessions, you will start to see that level of data in there. A couple other user interface things I want to make sure you're aware of. So for location, as you start to narrow in, you can do two things. So right now we're looking at a map view, but you can also have it filter the right side based on what's in the map view. So I've zoomed in and I'm only looking at a certain amount of inventory, and you'll see that the right side has changed. So it's just showing me inventory for the viewable screen. But the other thing is, since let's zoom in. Let's say we're really interested in downtown Portland. So you can see I've zoomed into a point where the iconography has changed. And you can see my key has changed as well. So the iconography is showing. Before we do that, let me clean this up a little so it's a little easier for everybody to see. So let me pick some just posters. Let me pick some, let's do some transit shelters too today. Okay, apply. So let's clean it up a little bit. All right. So you can start to see the iconography starting to show directionality as well as the type of media. So because I didn't pick any digital, sorry, let me go back and do that. Digital posters. So you can start to see any piece of inventory that has a black circle around it is digital, and anything that doesn't isn't. So if you ever need to refresh your memory on what that is, you can go to this feedback button here. So let me say, what do the icons mean? I'm not sure about that. So type in icons, click that. Map, key, symbols, iconography. So and then you can expand it out and just see, hey, what's going? So okay, I get it. The digitals have the black circle around them. The non-digitals don't. The chevron shape is showing you if it's a north, south, east, or west. And the number then shows you what sides they're on. So again, there's a lot of information here in our support.geopath.io, which you can get to by clicking on that feedback loop, the feedback button. So there's a lot of information on what's changing. So here's everything, for example, on what's new in the latest release, which is what we're talking about today. There's also videos you can watch that we're putting together on really going all the way back, starting on basics of measurement. So what do we mean by in the industry when we talk about universe? What's an impression? How do you calculate TRPs and GRPs? So again, you can just click on these. They're 2 to 3 minute videos. And we're also going to be uploading shortly one-pagers that go along with all of these as well. So anyway, don't want to divert too much, want to get back to the tool. But one last thing I do want to say is if you ever need live chat, you can get that here as well. There's somebody on staff that can respond to your questions or if you need any help as well. So just want to jump back to the tool. Let me get out of this. Go back. Close that. So I also want to show you that you can, if you need to zero into a particular neighborhood or area, you can start to draw a map there as well, or I do a little triangle kind of neighborhood area, and now I'm just focusing on that specific area, and I can start to zoom in there. So I really want to see this kind of downtown, old town area as well. You can see on the right side my inventory list has changed, as well as the total impressions. And I am seeing, wow, this area, if you go back, we picked Starbucks. This area way over indexes for drinking Starbucks. So 22% compared to the 14 nationally and the 16 for the overall market. So again, it's starting to help you start to zero in there as well. And then you could start to look at specific pieces of inventory. So I click on this one piece, it's specific outdoor. So all your basic information is here. And then you could click here for more details. And if you're on the call last time, some of the changes here are now it is pulling in the top zip codes that piece of inventory is drawing an audience from, and also the top market areas. So it's getting most of its audience from Portland, Oregon. And the other nice feature I feel I like about this is that it's showing you this opportunity overview. So it shows you what are other audiences that piece of inventory over-indexes for delivering. So this obviously is a good one, it looks like, for Starbucks. Those that say they've been to Starbucks in the past 30 days, those that shop for a vehicle on the internet, it also heavily over-indexes for. So you can start to see what other audiences might be appropriate for this piece of inventory. And as more audiences are added, this will obviously change, and you'll have, it'll be based on, what are other audiences that this over-indexes for, not just based on those 10. So if you need this information, you can export this as a PDF. Let's see, I'm doing that, and I'll open it up really quick. So you have all your same information here, and you can use that, email it if you need to. Also, as you scroll down here, so like I said, there's top zip codes, top market areas, and also your weekly audience summary. So market population, impressions in market, percentage, etc. And then because we've picked an audience, you can see that there's some difference between the total population 5+. And again, this top one here, top row, is always going to be based on, at least at this point, total 5+ audience. And then you can see your target, and then obviously the composition, as well as composition index here on the right, and calculates the tier 1 for weekly TRPs for you as well. Reach and frequency, as I said, are coming and should be here by the next time we have one of these sessions. And we're excited that that's going to be in the tool very soon. If you ever have questions on, like, well, I need to refresh, how do you get the target composition, or the composition index, so to speak? You can click here on this I button, and all of the definitions and how we calculate these metrics are right here on the back of the card. It also exported, I didn't say it, but it also exported with a PDF as well. And to get back, you just hit this arrow back. Great. I have that piece of inventory. Let's say I want to find a specific, there's one unit that I really am looking at, and I just want to look at that unit, right? So let me clear out this. So cleared out my little map. Let's say there's one. Let's say I'm really concerned. Let me do this first. Let's say there's a zip code that I'm really interested in. So this is 9729. Oh, 7209. It's an important zip code for me. I need to pull audience from that zip code. So you're seeing this zip code right here. So it's I believe that's the Pearl District. I think they're also called Old Town. I might be wrong, but so we're in this area. So let's say I also want to understand where this specific audience is coming from. Sorry for the sirens in the background here. I'm okay. We're all okay here. So here's the piece of inventory that I put in. I'm applying it. So you can see it's right here, right? Well, let's see where the audience for that is coming from. So 97209, which is the zip code that I put in, is 40% of that piece of inventory's audience, right? So you can see that the story that you tell, that just because a piece of inventory is in a location doesn't mean it's not drawing audience from other areas. And I realize these are maybe kind of close zip codes, but again, this is a story that I feel like we can start to tell now and have the data behind it to start to tell these kinds of stories. So we're really excited about that. So I'm going to clear that. Let me clear this zip code again. So the other feature I wanted to talk about before we close out is I mentioned there's a table view of all the information. So you can see here there's the table view, and there's a key here. So right now, the top 20 pieces of inventory for total weekly impressions are in that heavy teal, and then as you go down, it's it obviously the color gets lighter. So let's say if and again, we tried to do, if any of you had the chance to come to our training session, the advanced training session at the conference a few months ago, we tried to do an example like this to show you, like, obviously when you're needing to make decisions on which piece of inventory you want to select for a package, there's various things in terms of maybe total impressions are important, but also maybe the client also wants some very targeted units in there, or also ones with a lot of reach. So with this tool, you'll be able to, or at least this view of it, you'll be able to start to do that. So right now I'm sorting by total weekly impressions. So let's say I want to look at a couple of units that are heavy with a lot of impressions, just total impressions. I don't care about the target. And then maybe I want to look at some that are just heavy with target index. Like maybe I want units that really way over index for the Starbucks target. I don't care as much about impressions. So these are some of the highest ones there. And it may not be as obvious, but they're starting to light up here on the map. So once I've selected, I think I've selected maybe about 8 or 10 of them. You can download that into a CSV. You have that to work with. And what I'm going to do next, so I'm going to use these pieces of inventory to create my own list of inventory. Oops, cancel, sorry. So Control C, I got that. There's some other ones that I was playing around with earlier. Let me go here, close this down a little bit. So let's see, just so you can get the full view. Let me do here. So I copied that list from Excel, and there they are. And so I want to see where they are in my map. I think I needed to clear my filter once, so sorry. Okay, apply. Here they are here. And now I want to save that, because these are my 8 panels that I want. So you go over here to the right and say select, save inventory set. So I want to say Portland, example. Starbucks at 30 days. Save. So I successfully saved that. So let's say you go away. I want to clear all this. I want to clear this. Okay, so go back to Portland. I want to clear make sure I clear my zip code. Everything's cleared here. I want to go back to Portland. Apply from there. So let's say, okay, I want to just see my saved inventory set. So you can search that. So actually, you guys can see I was playing around with this a little earlier. So here's the set I want to look at, though. I apply it. And so here's my set of 8 that I have here. Let me move back up. So here, oh, I think I'm too far in. So you can see that set that I picked, right? So I was trying to get a lot of impressions. I was also trying to get a lot of target. And so it really starts to see, like, okay, they're nicely geographically dispersed, so maybe this is a good set. But you know what? I don't want to be so close to downtown. Let's see what that, maybe I don't want to include that one. So that's this one. So I deselect that. And so now I have only 7 panels rather. So I'm going to just save that as a new set. So this is my, new set. And now I can go back to that eventually if I want to. The other thing I want to show you is the last thing, and then I'll just double check to see if there's any questions. But this is here, the Locate Me button, and this is really good if you're out on the road and you want to passing by some inventory and you want to see where that is. So this is going to show where I am in New York City, so you can see I just hit that and it's going to zoom in right to where we are on 40th and 7th. So it's a really nice way to, if you just want to kind of quickly find where you are, find the piece of inventory that you're looking at, where it is, and get some information on it, you can do that here. So, and I think those are all the things I wanted to talk about. And again, I just wanted to remind you, again, I'll give it a minute and just let anybody type in any questions they might be having. But as we're doing that, I'm going to switch back over to the deck and just show you, and again, I talked about that we're creating these videos. We're building that out into a comprehensive training program with, very video driven, so self-directed if you want to do it that way, but also with in-person training as needed. So again, variety of videos, one-pagers, and you can once that gets up and running, and later in the year, once the tool is fully operational, we're going to be rolling that out as well. But in the short term, if you need some of those videos, you can get them here at support.geopath.io. So, and again, just want to say pause and see if there's any other questions. Hopefully we've covered them, but if you have any, happy to answer them. As we're waiting, a couple upcoming webinars I want to let you know about. So obviously there's one tomorrow, so if you have any colleagues that couldn't attend today, we're doing roughly the same session, same type of session tomorrow at 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. But then I wanted to have you, just wanted to let you know about some save the date opportunities. So we're working to put together our next webinar after tomorrow's rather, how planners plan and how buyers buy. Basically wanting to talk about, in the process, the importance of data. And we're going to have some special guests from Horizon, Out of Home Pitch, as well as Rapport and McDonald Media on the webinar with us, talking about that and in their daily lives with how they plan and buy, how they're using data, Geopath and other data. So we think that's going to be a really great session. Wanted to just start letting everyone know. We'll start sending out invites for that shortly. And then we're going to continue to have these sessions monthly in terms of update sessions on the Insight Suite. So we're scheduling the next two. We're always going to try to do them just so you can start to plan. For the most part, we're going to try to do them on the last Thursday and Friday of each month, like this month. I'm going to get on a cadence that way, with the Thursday one being in the afternoon and the Friday one being in the morning. So again, if there's no questions, just again want to say thank you to everybody. If you do have questions coming out of any of this, always reach out to us at geekout@geopath.org. Again, just want to say thanks for attending. We really appreciate this, and we hope that this was helpful for everyone. And we'll see you next month.